Hello and welcome to Ham Nation, episode 610 for November 5th, 2025. And hello, everybody. Welcome to Ham Nation. Thanks so much for clicking on the show again and joining us out here. I feel like I'm real zoomed in. I'm getting a real max headroom thing going on there, so I'm going to pull out a little bit. I got the zoomies. We got a big show. Randy is back, everybody, so let's say hi to the hosts. How you doing, hosts?
Hey, Randy.
Hey, how's it going? Going good.
Very good. Well, let's start with Randy. How you doing? Well, I know we're going to talk to you later, but what's been in the recent times? What's going on?
Well, one of the things I just did this afternoon was install my new Arco rotor controller. So if I just press over here, the thing will spin around, and the big triangle is actually the beam width of the antenna. And I got through resetting 20 some clocks here Saturday night, and 6 inches of rain we've been having here, and we got a lot of stuff to cover in a few minutes.
Now,
so
is that web enabled? Are you potentially going to be able to remote that if you're away from your house?
You can. It's got a network connection, and it serves up a web page. So what you see on the screen, you can see up on your computer.
That's so neat.
Yeah.
And Gordo, how are you doing on this? Now feeling a little fall-like around these parts. How you been?
It is. It's a little bit chilly. And tonight, have we got noise for you? After 3 X-class flares today. It's going to be exciting.
Indeed. And Don, how are you with your lovely shirt you got there? Where'd you get that thing from?
It was a Christmas or birthday gift from my funny honey. She got me this. So I don't wear T-shirts too much anymore because I got to wear polo shirts at work. But, I've been breaking out the T-shirts here lately. Still getting over Halloween. I'm still a little bit on a sugar high, I think, from Halloween. And in fact, speaking of that, I've got a problem with these people right here.
Uh-oh. What happened? Did they change the recipe?
I bet I've opened, 16 of these things. And I look at them. Some have M's, some have W's. A couple of them had 3s on there. But I got a problem with that. There's a quality control problem.
It is a problem. You should call Mr. Mars about that.
These are the things that bother me. Yeah. That's exactly right. So I'm okay. The sun, as everyone has said, is going crazy, and we don't have a Dr. Sco video tonight, but I do have a text update from her, which I shall present that to you right after the Newsline video and the fine folks from that side of the world.
Indeed. Yeah, the sun, I guess, partied a little too hard for Halloween because the hangover is a nightmare. It's vomiting all over space right now. So we will have to be talking about that in the future. Amanda, though.
That's a W. That's a W.
I got to get to the bottom of this. Amanda, you've been incredibly busy this last couple of weeks. So how are you doing?
Okay, so just life personal ham radio stuff as a section manager, HamCon Colorado, Colorado Aries set, and pre-planning for W1AW. That's all on my plate, but I got a lot of that off. So I'm going to be recapping a lot of that. Plus, put together another Ham It or Can It for tonight. Some fantastic stuff. So let's try that again. Stick around, and I'm going to be following chat all night, and that's it. So I think we're going to send it back to Gordo.
All right. Well, thanks, Amanda. And we look forward to watching all at the late end of the show. All right. Well, Josh, if you can go ahead and boot that first click. We have noise everywhere. And when it comes to noise everywhere, we're talking about not only sporadic E noise and ionospheric noise. And, the ionosphere makes noise. Listen to this. Do you hear that? That's noise coming out of the ionosphere, and they're called spherics. And spherics is what you're going to hear as soon as you plug in your transceiver to the outside antenna. And normally when you plug into an outside antenna like we see here, the plug that is, 80 meters is going to be about S5, S6, 40 meters ought to be S4, S5, 20 meters about S3. But the next 3 days, it's going to be real exciting with the 3 solar eruptions that just took place that you'll learn more about shortly. Well, we know that beside just the sounds of the ionosphere making noise, there's other sounds of things that make noise, and one is long-range lightning. And long-range lightning, we picked up, there it is. And you'll notice that after the lightning strike, there's silence, and that's because of the AGC on your transceiver. So if it's lightning that's bothering you, that sounds like this. Maybe time to crank down that tower because you may have a thunderstorm just around the corner. Well, of course, thunderstorms, you know what they sound like with lightning. You just heard it right there. And when that occurs, you never know what's going to happen to HF. And you're going to hear them on HF, but you won't necessarily hear any thunder and lightning on 2 meters and the 440 band. So we'll go to the next one, and you see that hurricanes is where you'll really hear lightning, and it's not impossible to hear lightning on 20 meters up to 2,000 and 3,000 miles away. That's the lure of high frequency, and that is hearing lightning. So identified lightning is not just local noise, but it's noise coming in for literally thousands of miles away. We all know what fog noise is. Now we're going to be talking about noise you got to put up with. This again on high frequencies, generally on 40 and 75 meters. But this was noise that the power companies do not want to hear. This is arcing. This is not just the frying of power lines, but listen to these arcs. Oh, yeah. And when they're arcing and you notice that your AGC goes silent for a few seconds, you know that that arcing is probably in your neighborhood. So call the power company and let them know, hey, I'm a ham operator and there's arcing. And they'll probably take your report. But once you get to the guys that drive around with the big trucks with all the antennas on them that are with a power company, they'll perk right up when they hear what you're hearing, and that is arcing. The 3 lines that you see in the middle, those are the 234 volt AC service that feeds to your house. Those are covered with a insulation. So if a tree branch gets in them, it's not going to necessarily arc over. The next one down, that looks like it's probably cable television. And the next one down from that, that is your telephone service now going over to fiber. And the telephone service going to fiber, we have it now here, is quite an improvement. But what you got to watch out for are those 2 top lines, thousands of volts, and they are not covered with any kind of insulation. So be very, very careful that you don't do anything that's going to come anywhere within 20 or 30 or 40 feet of it should fall over of those top 2 wires. And these guys, these are the mean boogers that many times radiate just high frequency noise. That's quite a nuisance to try and tune out. And that noise can go literally 5 to 10 blocks away. After a good rainstorm, it's much less. But before it rains and they're all gummed up with all of the stuff that comes out of vehicles and whatever, they're going to be noisy. In fact, on a foggy day, many times you can hear them. But now let's talk about what is solar panels. It's not the solar panels themselves, not the solar cells that are giving off the noise. If we take a look and a listen, you'll see that this is it. This is the controller. And as the controller is feeding on a bright sunny day, all of that energy that is feeding into your battery system, it's pretty quiet. But near the end of the day, you go, how come I'm hearing all of this chattering noise? Well, that's because your batteries are pretty well filled up and it's tapering off. And through pulse width modulation, those spikes can carry all the way up as high as the 10-meter band. So now, tune into another noise source that is a pretty formidable one, and that's beyond what the solar panel is. And that is something that is now becoming more prevalent on high frequency. And generally on the 20-meter band, this is what that prevalent sound sounds like, and see if you can identify it. There it is. John probably knows what it is.
Radar.
That is the Russian woodpecker,
Yeah.
right?
Radar.
Yeah, right on. And that Russian woodpecker can really generate quite a bit of noise. Well, we track down noise on the VHF bands with either a handheld radio or a radio like this, but can only be done best for VHF, very high frequency, if you have an AM receiver, such as this great receiver from C. Crane, or even one of your little ham radio handhelds. Many have as a menu item, not easily found, but look in the menu, swap it over to AM and get down there to about 125, 126, 127. And with a good long antenna, you should be able to walk around and be able to try and find out where that noise is coming from. So VHF radios for the noise that's coming off of what we'll describe shortly. But on single sideband, you need an HF radio, not a VHF radio. Single sideband. One of the best was, of course, some of the portable rigs we now use for POTA and SOTA. And those rigs are great because on AM, especially down on 75 meters, by shortening up the antenna on this little C. Crane shortwave receiver, you can begin to find out where the noise is coming from. And good old battery chargers, they are the nemesis of noise. And the battery chargers can put out sometimes so much noise that they just about mask the signal. And when do they do that the most? When the battery is almost at a full state of charge. So if you've got a battery outside your shack and it's nice and quiet with your solar charger, and about 2 or 3 in the afternoon, it begins to make a lot of noise, I guarantee it's the chopper circuit, pulse width modulation, that's making that tick, 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 tick sound that you'll hear shortly. And that is trying to charge up your storage battery. Even your little tiny cell phone, that again, when it gets to near charged up, the battery inside, the lithium ion battery, it's going to pulse. And when it begins to pulse, that little teeny wall wart will carry sometimes to your neighbor's house next door, hundreds of feet. And for those of you that have slow scan television or some of the digital modes for imaging, you can recognize noise as those lines that we see here when we were tuning in to the International Space Station, sending different slow scan pictures. But here's a noise that is unbelievable.
Roger, what is your QTH?
I was contacting a station on 6 meters, and I said, what is your QTH? And I expected on 6 meters he would come back and say what his QTH was. But he was, well, take a listen.
QTH, over.
What the heck? Boy, your transmitter sucks. Well, no, not really.
That's what you're asking. I don't use MTA.
Aurora. And the reason I brought that tonight is because probably tomorrow, for those of you up in the Northeast, you're probably going to get a little bit of aurora. And if it sounds like that, go outside and take a look at the fireworks. So we're going to have all sorts of weird sounds. And it was aurora. Well, is the noise coming over high frequency? Is it in your own shack, or is it that neighbor that just moved in next door with his plant growing lights? Well, the way to find out is if you're really brave, turn your house off completely at the panel. And I like to do that as a last resort. I'd like to do a lot of sniffing to find the noise first. So shutting off the panel with a companion portable battery operated receiver. If when you switch it off, oh, the noise went away and you got it. It's inside your own shack. Sometimes you can isolate it by switching on different circuit breakers to try and figure out which part of the shack is wreaking the noise. And generally, you'll find it to items that you really wouldn't expect would be noisy. But you don't want to do that if you've got somebody doing a contest station, because as Don will tell you, and Josh and everyone, Randy, you're going to dump their receive capabilities and more than likely all of their computer programs. So save shutting off your house as an absolute last resort. And I mean it seriously. Now that many rigs are coming with a wonderful display like this, it's very easy to see what's happening with the noise pulses. When you see stuff like this is not atmospherics. This is an inside noisemaker. Every 25 kc, there it is. Any idea? Well, yeah, I got an idea. Well, let's take a look and see where that noise gets traced to. You have to do, again, a little sniffing, and I sniff for noise with a little tiny FT817 Yaesu rig, or my little ICOM, and I hold it right next to the potential noisemaker. And nope, it's not the panel that is part of the solar system, yet I still see it on the display. This is not atmospheric noise. This is your noise, man-made noise. So it could be spikes like this. This is pulse width modulation, and this is how they control the amount of current that's going to feed to a battery. And as that battery begins to become charged, an IC in there says, well, let's have some more of those spikes to cut down on, or less spikes to cut down on the amount of current that's going into the battery. And that many times will really help the problem if you disconnect that battery charger. But that's what it looks like. And more batteries, especially the lithium ion batteries, come with pulse width modulation to give them a charge and regulate that charge so they don't overcharge. And yeah, you got a nice fresh battery. But geez, even when you're working with Randy and paying FT8, and you look in between those signals, you just see a ton of noise coming out, going, what in the world in my house is making that noise? And although they've MFJ and others have come out with noise finders, nothing beats just a little tiny AM radio. So here's Amanda's house, and we've got a picture of her favorite dog. This is what we call by sniffing out noise.
The kitchen helps.
Analog dishwasher.
That's
Yes.
right. Here's the washer. And that's in perfect sync with her pooch that is doing that. So you may have circuits in your radio called digital signal processing. DSP is good, especially on 40 meters, where on 40 meters, many times you have a noise source. Could be something as simple as a dimmer switch, which we'll play shortly. But on 40 meters, you have shortwave broadcasts, and you can many times use DSP to kill the tone of their transmitted current. And as we tune it out, hear how the tone disappears. It goes, wow, and then disappears. That's DSP taking about a second to say, oh, that's not a good noise to get rid of. Pretty amazing. It just notches out that big fat carrier quite easily. But when you get to little tiny noisemakers like this, the dimmer control is one that is prevalent in so much of electronics in the house. Reoccurring noise like this. That's usually a washer or a dryer. This one comes out. There we go. This one is the dimmer.
Oh, yeah.
On. And And the dimmer sometimes will go a house or so away. So if the noise is not coming from your house because you shut everything off, and you find that on HF on your portable receiver, it's coming pretty close to your neighbor's house, then you know, gosh, I got to be getting pretty close to where that noise source is. That's when you got to work with your neighbor saying, hey, I'd like to buy you a brand new touch lamp or get rid of that dimmer. Now, they also have dimmers for those RV users, like those going to Quartz Fest, and we sure hope to see you in January for Quartz Fest. They've now got the pulse width modulation dimmers that are 12 volts. It's not a variable resistor anymore, but rather pulse width. So these little tiny LEDs that you see here that we get from Roger and the gang at the Ham Fest, they're wonderful. They're great when they're all the way fully brilliant, but when you go to dim them down, you're going to get that just terrible noise. So same thing with these light bulbs. Your LED light bulbs for 110 volts have a circuit, and that circuit emanates noise, not on high frequency, but the light bulbs at 110 end up on the 2-meter band. And all you got to do to test it is tune into a weather station, 162.400, 162.55, and get a real weak station, and then turn on your lights in your office or wherever your radio room is. And if the weather station goes away when you turn the LED light on and it comes back when you turn it off, that means you got to get a different brand. I have found same wattage, but a different brand makes all the difference of the world. But again, that's going to be on 2 meters. And Amanda, you know this one. Anytime you get close with your EOC operation, there are some vehicles, oh boy, stay away from this one. Better go to this one because their generator noise will many times. Yeah. So pick your spot where you're going to be operating HF. Won't affect VHF, but HF. And the American Red Cross years ago had a generator on a belt that off the engine ran 110 volts, nice 110 volts. Yee-hoo! Noisy, you could hear it a block away. And anything that's labeled part 15, that means, yep, it's going to give off noise, but maybe only 10 or 15 feet away. So when you're out there sniffing for noise, putting on chokes on the power cords, usually it's not going to make a difference. It's coming right out of the dimmer box or right out of the device itself, including the washing machine or Mixmaster or wherever. And these ferrite chokes, Snap-on, are good investments, but they're not magic. And how's your coax? Look at that one on the bottom, 70% braid, not 100%. It's going to leak noise in anywhere that coax goes by, anything that's a noise maker. Middle coax, not bad, about 85 to 90% braid. The top coax, a little bit more expensive, but you bought it local at the ham store, 100% braid, maybe with an aluminum shield. That's going to shield out any noise sources getting into the coax. And DSP is good for broadband atmospheric noise, but fluorescent lights and so on, the fluorescents have that noise that comes in, and that noise sounds like a steady carrier that warbles up and warbles down. And fluorescent noise is a tough one to get rid of because it's always changing frequency, and it has multiple frequencies within the fluorescent noise pulse, and you're just stuck with it. So in an RV, turn off all fluorescents and switch over to LEDs. And again, you can see noise from a fluorescent right here at the bottom of the scope of the pan adapter as it's going up and down in frequency. Very, very common fluorescent. So get yourself a portable radio, sniff out the washer, sniff out the printer, sniff out any other electronics, and you'll be ready to go out there as Don And let's see, Donna and Leo over at Kenwood Corporation, they have the cleanest shack around because they've spent weeks sniffing out all the noise sources. So this is Gordo, and hopefully we don't have too much noise here. So Amanda, back to you.
Well, thank you, Gordo. A couple of questions, or at least one. Well, first, one person said, I only use 100-watt incandescent source from sketchy eBay accounts. Please, I hope you're just joshing with us in the chat room. 100-watt light bulbs.
Those are banned.
Wow.
They're contraband.
Yeah, they
Mhm.
totally are. I think throughout the whole United States, right?
I think so. I think that was the
I-
joke. Yeah.
Okay, so, but
Timu to the
again,
rescue.
100 watts. I mean, is that
I
what they
know.
smuggle between Canada and
Yeah, that's
in the
what you
US
smuggle
these
now.
days?
Yeah.
Okay, but a serious question, Gordo. The light bulb that you did show, would those bulbs affect 144.200?
120. Oh yeah, they affect from about 100 megahertz, the FM music band, up as high as about 200. They just for some reason are resonant on the 2-meter band and the aviation band. And the way you tell is to just turn them on and off or unscrew them slightly so they go off, and instantly the noise drops out and you now hear stations. But you got to be tuned into a station because on FM your noise floor is not going to detect the AM pulses. So tune into a weather station, 162, 500, 55, 450, and weak one, and then screw the bulb in. Whoa, the weather station went away. Your light bulb needs to go away to a different brand.
Okay, good to know. No Timu bulbs here. That's
right.
actually that's a false account for my household. Even the lights above me are some Chinese LED the replacement fluorescents. Josh, did I miss
Mhm.
anything?
No, but I got a couple, and this is only an hour show, so I'm only going to take one or two here. But okay, so Gordo, the solar systems, big thing, right? A lot of these solar panels are going to where they have like charge controllers on the panel, so they're like distributed charge controllers, which is I assume a problem. But whether you have like one co-located charge controller or a panel full of charge controllers, what do you do in that situation? Or is there even anything you can do?
I would have to first determine, is it best to have one controller or a whole bunch of them? And ferrites right there at the panel output before it gets to that controller, or right there at the controller, probably will mitigate some of the noise coming down the long line to the battery system.
Okay. Yeah. So then the second one is a lot of these new home constructions and remodels, they're going to like, the submerged can lights that are in the ceiling, and those are generally LEDs. So obviously that can have a problem, but where I think it shows up most of the time is those dimmers, the flat panel dimmers that you can kind of click, 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 click. What do you do in those situations if you think those are causing problems?
Leave them all the way on or all the way off, or that's about it on the pulse width modulation dimmers. They just reek. But I have found that some of the Palomar snap-on filters right there at the dimmer output to the device does help a little bit.
Now follow-on question. Sorry, everybody, but maybe you need to know this too, because I'm dealing with this myself. So how are you? Obviously, when you take the switch out, it's very difficult to cram ferrites in there. So you almost have to take out the box, if you will, and get the ferrites going up the wire there. So is that kind of what the target or the goal is?
That is, and I have found that people calling Palomar describes the dimmer. They actually have a book of noisemakers. Oh, yeah, that one. You just snap it right where you can get it, the wires leading up to the LEDs, and we'll get you the right core mixture that'll induce quietness to that.
Wow.
Yeah, I think I just thought of something while I was. So the hole's usually not big enough, but I guess I could take a little Dremel tool and go burp burp burp, open that up a little bit, and I can just start feeding ferrites up the line until like I'm a squirrel, just like I'm filling the walls with acorns until we solve the problem. So I think you might have. I think I think we've got an approach here. So thank you, Gordo, as always, for the insight. I know there's a ton of people in the chat that were loving that, so very much appreciate you, Gordo, on that one. And I think we're throwing it to ICOM. Is that okay?
We just choose between mood lighting and HF, just not both at the
That's
same
it.
time. So
Right,
Correct.
exactly.
Complete
It's not that
darkness
hard.
and candlelight for HF, right?
Radio in the dark. Yeah.
that almost sounds appealing. Okay, now let's go to ICOM.
Pumpkins plaid and plenty of QSOs. Fall is here, and ICOM rigs are your go-to gear. Whether you're chasing DX from the cozy comfort of your shack or taking your rig outdoors under crisp autumn skies, ICOM keeps you connected through every season. Remote ready, contest capable, and built for serious signal, step into the future of amateur radio with ICOM's powerhouse trio. The IC7760 HF digital transceiver, the IC-PW2 1 kilowatt HF 50 MHz linear amplifier, and the all-new RC7760 remote controller. Designed to work in perfect harmony, this system offers full remote operation, high output power, and seamless integration across the bands. The RC7760 remote controller serves as an extra control head, and up to 5 can be registered to the RF deck, though only one can be active at a time. For wireless connectivity, simply connect a commercially available Wi-Fi access point via the LAN port. Whether you're working from the shack, the field, or a remote site, you'll experience crystal clear audio, digital precision, and amplifier-grade power, all from a single unified interface. It's the ideal setup for contesters, MCOM operators, and high-demand users who expect more from their gear. The IC7300 combines intuitive touchscreen control, real-time spectrum display, and superior signal purity into one compact rig. Built for satellite, EME, and weak signal enthusiasts, the IC9700 combines all-mode operation on VHF, UHF, and 1.2 GHz. The IC705 go-to rig for outdoor hams who love POTA and SOTA activations. A large color touchscreen with real-time spectrum scope and waterfall display for intuitive function and setting operation. The IC705 provides big radio features and performance in the palm of your hand. Enjoy HF to 50, 144, and 440 MHz with D-Star, SSB, CW, RTTY, AM, and FM modes. For more information about all of ICOM's great amateur radios, visit icomamerica.com/amateur today.
A huge thank you to ICOM. Thank you so much for sponsoring Ham Nation here on the Ham Radio Crash Course. I'd like to give a second shout out to the 705, which was mentioned in the ad. It's actually a really cool radio for hunting down RFI because it's all band, all mode. So you get AM, you can go to VHF, UHF, you can go down to HF. Works really nice in the hand, so you can put a little loop antenna on there. And I've used it a couple of times in my house to sniff out dirty electronics. But hey, if you go to the link in the video description, it'll take you to the ICOM website for Ham Nation. And if you see that little Enter Now button, every time we're live, we give away 3 swag packs, so at least twice a month. And then at the end of the month, all the swag pack winners throughout the year go into a hat. We draw a name out, and that individual wins a radio. We're coming up to the end of the year, and you can see the 2 radios that we're giving away in the month of November and December. So an ID52, a fantastic portable handheld, and a fantastic mobile radio in the ID5100 will be received by someone that watches Ham Nation. So make sure you click Enter Now and get in on that. But for this week's winners, we have swag pack giveaways going to Jacob R2 KE2 EKU, Robert E, KD3BGJ, and Joe P, K9JPP. I feel like those call signs were all a little tongue twistery. I don't know what. Oh, congrats, Joe. Congrats. Well, make sure you take that link, take the link in the video description and click the Enter Now button. And hey, if you are needing QSL cards, Amanda's QSL service is also linked in the video description. So you get a twofer. You can get in on the contest and get yourself sorted out with some brand new QSL cards. All right, thank you, ICOM. We appreciate you. Don, what's going on with you, buddy?
Well, I see that ID 5100 up there on the screen, and I've got mine sitting right over there, and generally sitting right next to it or pretty close by when I'm operating any of the radios, including the 7600. I've got one of these guys going because I love my candles. It's nice to kind of dim the lights in here or turn them off actually, and just kind of have a couple of candles going and play a little radio. It's a lot of fun. I'm a Renaissance man, darling. Where you been? How long have I known you now?
In a cigar, and I don't.
I'll
trash
have the
can
whiskey in here, but I'm not going to have
trash.
no cigar in the house. I got a wife too, you know.
What's the candle smell like?
I want to hang on to her.
What scent is it? Is the candle?
Crank grease.
It's I don't know.
Yeah. Is it one of those electronic ones that flicker and create noise?
It's called magic smoke is what it smells like.
Soldering iron. Yes.
No, it's actually it's real fire, and it's got like a wood wick, and I don't know what it is. Hell, it's Better Homes and Gardens.
Give us something.
That's not what it smells like, but that's what it says. No. It's
Show's going
I don't know. It's like
downhill.
a fresh linen or something.
Oh, there you
I don't
go.
know, something neutral like that. No, it's nice.
If you're gonna wax poetic about your candle, have the scent. That's all I'm saying. You know what? Let's just.
I've got a scent.
Let's
But
move along.
that's not why you tuned in. You tuned in to see the news of the week from
Yes,
Amateur
we
Radio
did.
Newsline. So why don't we go to that, which is a little safer than this conversation. From Amateur Radio Newsline Report number 2505, this is Ham Nation Headlines for Wednesday, November 5th, 2025. First up, Hurricane Melissa. Newsline anchor Stephen Kinford in 8WB.
As the Newsline went to production, Hurricane Melissa was still a developing story in the Caribbean. The Category 5 storm had already done catastrophic damage to parts of Jamaica as it continued its rampage through the region. The Hurricane Watch Net was active on 14.325 megahertz and 7.268 megahertz, and advising all other traffic to avoid those frequencies. The VOIPWX.net was monitoring calls for help and Skywarn weather reports from impacted areas. Many reports came from the Caribbean Digital Amateur Radio Service and other amateur radio stations who relayed information from Jamaican News Radio as well as local ham stations. Newsline will be following amateur response to the storm and its aftermath.
Radio was precious to Orson Welles, the American writer, actor, magician, and filmmaker who is most prominently celebrated at this time of the year for War of the Worlds, his 1938 science fiction broadcast depicting a Martian invasion, a drama so realistic that it incited panic in listeners. War of the Worlds was back on radio recently, but this time it was amateur radio.
The fictional Martians may not have had their antennas tuned, but members of the Delaware Valley Radio Association did, as 16 operators called CQ for several hours in a public park in Grover's Mill, New Jersey, the site where the original broadcast radio drama played out in 1938. This was the club's fourth year hosting the event as station W0W, and it was timed to coincide with the original late October airing. There is a monument in the park honoring that broadcast, which put Grover's Mill on the map, but the ham's activation in the park may have left a lasting impression too. Unlike the invading Martians, the visitors here came in peace. Cyclists participating in the township's Martian bike ride and other members of the public stopped by to get a close-up look at what amateur radio is all about. One young person even got on the air and logged one of the 159 QSOs that were made according to Martin Crabtree, W3PR. Anyone saying, "Take me to your leader," would have been introduced, of course, to Club President Martin. That's Martin, not Martian, who was outfitted appropriately in foil-covered fedora. Other hams wore antenna, but in this case, none of them were tuned for any transmissions except perhaps those from Mars. This is Travis Lisk and 3ILS.
Recognizing industry growth and student demand, a university in northern Washington state has developed a full electrical and computer engineering department on its campus, and it's being chaired by an amateur radio operator.
Starting in the fall of 2026, students at the Western Washington University will be able to enroll in programs in the new Electrical and Computer Engineering Department and to pursue studies in the school's first engineering graduate program. The courses were previously housed within the school's Department of Engineering and Design. The Zero Retries newsletter, which reports the development in its latest edition, said that Janelle Ledger, Dean of the College of Science and Engineering, credited student and industry demand as the primary reasons for the creation of the new department. She said that the move is being made with support from the state to create the degree programs. Majors will select from 4 programs, which include wireless networking and signal processing, as well as AI, electronics, and energy. The professor chairing the new department is Andy Klein. On the university website, the professor writes that having a standalone department will pave the way to creating new partnerships and internships with companies that generate more internships for students. Andy Klein is an amateur radio operator who received the call sign KG7WFT in July. This is George Zafiropoulos, KJ6VU.
And that's all from the Amateur Radio Newsline, your independent source for amateur radio news since 1976 at arnewsline.org. With Stephen Kinford, N8WB, Travis Lisk, N3ILS, George Zafiropoulos, KJ6VU, Karen Eve Murray, KD2GUT at the news desk in New York, and our news team across the globe, I'm Don Wilbanks, AE5DW. 7-3, we'll see you next time here on Ham Nation. And a big thanks to the Newsline crew for helping us put that together. We don't have a Dr. T video tonight because she's been extremely busy because, as you heard, there's been a bunch of X-class flares going on, and every time she creates a forecast, it changes. So she texted me a little update. So let me share that with you. She says, the sun has been far too busy and I've had to revamp my forecast multiple times. Just tell everyone conditions are going to be a hot mess. That's a technical term. Until at least Sunday, if not Monday. And that's if the sun stops launching storms, which it won't. I'll be pulling an all-nighter tonight and I'll have a forecast out tomorrow for everyone. So, and she says, yes, I'll be wearing a red shirt. I don't know what that means, but whatever. There we go. Dr. T and the red shirt crew, apparently. So
warning.
Yes, exactly. So check in with her on spaceweatherwoman.com in the next couple of days, and we'll see how that goes. And spaceweatherwoman.com, of course, it's at Tamitha Skov on X, and her YouTube channel is Tamitha Skov. And let me see if this one passes muster, Amanda. This one is chocolate and coffee.
Oh my God, yes. That's what my house smells like all the time anyways.
It's a one of those, it's a 3-wick job. And I don't like it as much because for some reason it doesn't burn as much of the wax, and the wicks burn down really, really, really short. That's why I like the little wood wick that's up on that.
And by the way, Dr. T has made a new drink called the Hot Mess now here
Hot Mess.
with
good
our chat room.
Yep.
Oh, good. Perfect.
So drink up, folks.
Excellent. Well, there you go. That's there's your report from me tonight. So that's all I got. So whoever wants to pick it up, Josh, go ahead.
I think it's Randy.
It's Randy.
Randall!
Me.
Oh, well, have at it.
Have at it. Well, I just want to mention George there. He's one of the hosts in the Ham Radio Workbench podcast and now on YouTube. And it's really a very interesting podcast to listen to. They go around talking about what everybody's construction projects are, then a theme for the night. And he mentions Steve Stroh's zero retries newsletter. So it's a good one if he covers all things digital that are happening in ham radio here. So let me share my screen here with some of the things I've been up to. I got to find my mouse here across 4 screens. Here we go. And we want to do this. So a couple of weeks ago, I headed back to Rochester. TV event. It's going to go for, I think it's 9 days. Again, the 12 image sequence, and uses PD 120. You receive it on 2 meters, 145.800. It takes 2 minutes to send a picture, and then they pause for 2 minutes. And look at this. We can try it again, Amanda. A live ISS pass on Ham Nation in 2 weeks.
Oh, I'm so excited.
It's an 18-degree pass, so it may not be quite as perfect as last time, but I've made some station improvements here. So
Ooh,
this
look
is
at
what
that.
this is what I've been using for years. It's just the tri-band. It's a 2 meter, what's a 6 meter, 2 meter, 70 centimeter vertical up on the top of the tower here. But now, just in the last couple of months, I've kind of put my tracking satellite antenna system back on. So I have 6x6 elements on 2 here, and I think it's 9x9 on 435, and it's all working. And
Nice.
and what I'm going to be doing here, I just brought in my IC 7100 from the camp trailer. So I have another radio in the shack, and it's going to be hooked up to the vertical. My IC 9700 is going to be hooked up to the tracking antenna. And I think if I install SSTV twice, I can receive in one SSTV the vertical and the other one with the tracking antenna to see how they compare.
Oh, that'll be a cool experiment.
Yeah.
Oh, taster's test choice. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. And I will plan on doing some live streams during the event. So stay tuned to my channel, and probably the next day or two, I'll post another video about the slow scan with the current schedule. And then it leads into how do you do all this from scratch. So a lot of people have gotten on from watching that. So is there any comments in the chat room about that before I?
Well, we got Digital Rancher in the house, and there was a mention of your video you did with Prep Ham Paul. So you've been busy out there talking about a lot of cool stuff, and everybody was very appreciative of that.
Yeah. Okay. We'll move on to that then. We'll talk about the conference here a little bit. Their theme this year was television. Since I worked my whole career in broadcast television from the manufacturer side, I just had to go. And when I walked in back in the corner, I saw this camera, and this was the RCA camera that was used at the 1939, I think, World's Fair in New York City. That had David Sarnoff standing in front of. He was the president of RCA, on television. And this is the iconoscope tube that's inside there. You can see the tube here. The lens is here, so the light comes through here and puts the image on the target. And there's an electron gun down here, which takes and reads that. And this fellow got it a few years ago. There's no electronics to make it work. It's just the camera head, but that's a really neat piece of history there.
I love that stuff.
The Antique Wireless Association has a great museum out in Bloomfield, New York, and they brought about 150 pieces that are surplus to their collection that they have in the auction, which runs, I think it was Saturday morning. So most of what you see in here is from the museum collection. Then people bring stuff in to add to the auction. So you can see there's all sorts of old TVs, some transistor radios. Somebody here had a tube caddy on the great big old Sylvania tube caddies filled full of tubes. I think 100 and some tubes in there. I think that went for like $3.
Oh, wow. I had one of those.
How much were those tabletop radios going for?
Somewhere in like $5 and $10, depending on the condition, if they were rare or not. They had lots of these old speakers. I have a 2-hour video if you want to watch the entire auction and see what the stuff goes for. Get your coffee or get a 6-pack out with
that.
cooler and watch that. So I sat in the front row with my camera, so it comes off pretty good. They're even auctioning off some of these old Allied catalogs, and they had a book fair where they had a lot of books from the museum. I bought 3 of these old Lafayette and Allied catalogs from the early 70s for $5, so I can relive my childhood of leafing through those. And I was kind of looking, and there's a few pages of ham stuff, but I forgot how important hi-fis and stereos were back in the 70s. Probably about a third to half of the catalog is nothing but stereo gear and things, receivers, speakers, components. It goes on and on. So really a neat thing to go dig back through the history. Here's a couple items that were in the auction. The tube here on the left is an image dissector. So it's about 6 to 8 inches in diameter, about maybe 15 inches long. And this is a early iconoscope prototype. It's a much smaller one than what was in that big camera. These were in the auction. They each went for $500 a piece, and
Wow.
the same guy bought them both. So
Wow. The one
you know,
on the
it's it-
right looks like it could be paraphernalia. That's
yeah.
illegal.
I was just thinking that. Yeah.
It was interesting. You sit down at lunch with, these people who most of them I've never met in my life before. And you go, well, what do you collect? And you get some people are collecting all sorts of things, transistor radios or just all sorts of crazy stuff. So it was a lot of fun. I took 2 items. I had this little 2-inch black and white TV. I got this in 1981. I was over on a business trip to Japan. I bought this thing. I landed in San Francisco airport. I was going through the toll booth paying my parking, and the attendant says, President Reagan's been shot. He said, oh. I pulled the TV out of my briefcase, stuck it on the dashboard of the car, pulled out the antenna, and I watched the news as I was driving home.
Wow.
That got
Wow.
$27 in the auction. This is a Heathkit CR1. This is a 1958 Heathkit crystal radio.
Ooh.
I probably got this as a Christmas present. It was probably 6 or 7. I think these things sold originally for like $8. And it's just been sitting around. Every 10 years I pull it out, and there's no AM around here to receive. So I thought I'd take it and put it in the auction and see if somebody else can get some use out of it. It went for $75, and it was a very active bid.
That's cool.
Nice investment.
So, and in fact, in the hotel room there, we're about just a few miles away from a 50,000 watt AM station. So I had some wire I strung around the room and had a little powered speaker, and I picked up 2 radio stations. So it still works. This got a lot of Collins collectors close eye to it. It looks like, what is a 74A something receiver, but it's a signal generator. Low frequency. So this goes from 50 kilohertz to 600 kilohertz. And this was a manufacturing, basically piece of test gear that they use in the manufacturing area. So it was a one of. This is a prototype, and this is the only one that's in existence. So you see some pretty interesting stuff there.
Yeah,
and we remember Bob Heil.
It's got the asset stamps on there too from Collins. Like that was in the fact. Like you can see the barcode there on the back, and then if you go one before, the sticker on the upper right hand side.
Yeah,
yep.
Collins Test Department.
That's an
There you go,
asset. Yeah, that's
manufacturer.
an asset tracking tag. Those are
Yep.
cool. That's legit.
Yeah. So Bob Heil talked about his Mosley CM1 quite a bit on this show. Well, this is that radio, and on the back of it says, "Great to visit with you, Bob." John, was it Clemens, W0BD, October 5th, I guess 2013. So this is
Wow.
Bob's radio out of his estate. So it's gone to a good home, which is good to see. And we went to the museum one night, and it's just filled with stuff. It's just amazing. I've been there several times. I have several videos on it. I always have to stop and look at the Howard Armstrong display because he invented and developed so many things we take for granted today. He, engineered the first regenerative receiver, which is right here. Look at that round tube there on the top, the Auditron. He invented the super heterodyne receiver, which until SDRs was kind of the building block of all receivers, basically. He was the inventor of FM, and here's some of the original FM boards that were up on the Empire State Building. Up in Alpine, New Jersey was his famous tower he built back in the 30s, I think, and it's still standing today. If you go up along the west side of New York City, head north, you will see this. So here's Howard, but this guy in the background, Henry Herc, I believe it is. He was Armstrong's assistant, lab assistant. He'd build stuff and help design and things. And when Armstrong got tired of things or wanted to move on with something else, he would tell Harry here or Henry, I believe, to get rid of it. Well, he didn't throw it in the dumpster. He took it home. And years later, either all of this stuff or a majority of it that he had in his home all was donated to the museum. So they have a lot of this original one-of-a-kind prototype artifacts.
Oh, wow.
If you're in the Rochester, Syracuse area, you need to spend a day, get the right day, and go out and spend time going through the museum. It is world class. Okay, let's move on to tiny GS here. So you saw my large GS, my large ground station. Now we're going to go to the other end of the spectrum. So this is a network made up of, right here it has almost 2,000 receiving stations online. So all these green stations are all around the world are receiving satellites. And you can see all these satellites out here running around. And they receive it, and they receive the telemetry, and they upload it to the servers, and then the universities or whoever is the sponsor of the satellite can take and collect data. So it's a way you can get worldwide satellite coverage. Excuse me. And there's all sorts of satellites. There must be, I don't know, 80 to 100 of them maybe up there, and they're all various sizes. These are, I would say, some of the larger ones. Some are a CubeSat, basically the size of this green square here. And the challenge of this is to build a station and improve it. We really, as hams or the end users, really don't do much with the telemetry. We can look at it, but there's no communications through it, but it's receiving, and it's kind of a neat thing to do. So this is the ground station. This plus a antenna. So this is a little ESP32 board, which has a radio on it. So the little computer in here knows the orbits. It's talking to the mothership. It's got Wi-Fi. It knows what satellite's coming over at what time. It tunes the radio chip that's in there. It decodes the telemetry and sends it up to the mothership. And you supply it power, antenna, and Wi-Fi. This thing's like $30.
Really?
Yes.
So
this is very similar to what you would use for Meshtastic, but these are 433 boards, not the 915 boards. So if you're going down this path, I want to try this, make sure you get the 433 megahertz boards. And you don't need much of an antenna. This is a 70 centimeters ground plane antenna from a UK ham that I found. It's basically a chassis, a chassis connector and 5 elements that are about 6 inches long, and it receives satellites surprisingly well.
Wow. I
have put together one of Mark Smith's N6 MTS, I believe it is, from Halibut Electronics. This is his Eggnogs antenna. This is a egg beater antenna that he kind of designed to go along with the Satnogs. And somebody on the Ham Radio Workbench group says, "Oh, Eggnogs." So that's where he got the name from. So the coax feeds both of these loops, but the trick here is that it's a circular polarized antenna. And typically when you are dealing with circular polarization with an antenna, you have to feed one part of the antenna 90 degrees out of phase from the other. So now you get into this quarter wave section of coax that has to be kind of accurately measured and cut and calculated, because you got to figure the velocity factor and stuff. So it's usually a little bit of a chore to put one of these together. Mark has solved that. So he has 2 boards here. So this board here, it has a balun on here through this hunk of ferrite, and in the artwork of the board here is that quarter wave phasing line.
Wow.
So you don't have to go cutting coaxes and splicing things together and stuff. So, and then he's got this this cap. It comes with the kit, and he's got a CNC machine, and it drills out the 4 holes, so everything fits. And if you mount it in here, you can see where it says RHCP for right hand circular polarization to the arrow here. It's setting up for right hand. If you turn the big board 180 degrees around, it would say left hand over here. So you take this and you stick it on a 2-inch piece of PVC pipe, and you got your fancy ground station antenna. And
Wow.
you can put everything inside the tube. The little receiver
Oh,
board will fit
yeah.
in there. And you get a little preamp board. You power it through a UPS. I mean, not UPS, a USB power thing. So I just have an AC cord going in there and a little USB things down here, and it's all self-contained. And they work. So if you go to TinyGS and you go to the stations and you search for K7 AGE, you'll see 2. So this is for my K7 AGE2 station.
Oh, wow.
And I'm receiving 600 to 700 packets a day.
Oh,
This day I put a wideband preamp in the line, and I think it was getting overloaded because it was, I think, a 20 to 2 gig or something preamp, and I think it was getting overloaded. So I took it back out, and I put a different type of preamp in here the last couple of days, but really hasn't made any difference. So this is some of the things you can play around with this thing and see if you can take and improve your station. It also shows you a heat map of where the areas above your sky, above your head that you're receiving things. So that's with the Eggnogs antenna. Then I have another station running. This is my first one I had built years ago. So it's just a quarter wave. Everything's in an ammo box. There you can see the AC cable going in. Everything's in there, and it works. Here it is. Here it is for a few days. I was using the little rabbit ears antennas that come with a RTL SDR kit. So that was with the little rabbit ears. Then I put the quarter wave on it. I forget all. Yeah, here I put a preamp on it. It's actually gone down. So you got to watch out with these preamps. But I'm still getting here at its best. I was getting 500 packets a day from something that simple with a $30 board inside. So this would be a neat club project. Get people interested in satellites.
That's cool.
Which leads us to the Cornell University Alpha CubeSat project. This is something the students have been working on for years and years and years. It's a CubeSat. It is on the space station now, waiting to be deployed. So here's the space station representative. Here's the CubeSat. And this is a solar sail that's going to come out that hole, expand out. Then what photons from the sun's light are going to push it. And on the corners of the sail are the transmitters that we hope to receive.
Ooh.
So here's
That is so cool.
So here's kind of a relative size comparison here of different solar sail projects. The light sail here was from the Planetary Society, which I'm a member of. It's if you're interested in space, you need to join the Planetary Society. A great podcast, but this is how small theirs is. You can see a man here.
Wow.
For the size.
It's 3 foot square. That's neat.
Yeah. So it has to fold up. So you have this origami pattern thing here. That's how it's going to get all folded up inside the CubeSat. And on their website, it's easy to find, just Cornell Alpha. You'll find it. And there's a video here, and they go through the whole project, and they show their experiments with working on the sail coming out of here. Inside the CubeSat, they have a spring that'll push this out, and the spring is held back with a probably like a piece of nylon cord, which has like a heat thing that when they pass current through it, it's going to get red hot or hot, and it melts the nylon, and that releases the spring to push the thing. Wow. Yeah, and they have some magno torquers on here in 3 axis, so they can stabilize the satellite, get it pointing in the right direction before they release it.
as Brett says, an orbiting jack in the box.
Yeah.
Exactly what it is. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So here's again just another picture of it showing the transmitters. They have these wire things here, which are kind of like a spring, which is going to help push the
spreaders. Yeah.
Yeah, the spreaders. Yeah. So this is the little board here. So
wow.
Yeah, there's a chip here for the radio. It's got the microprocessors that control it. It's got it's got a GPS. It has an attitude sensor on here. Here's the dipole antenna for the GPS. Here's the dipole antenna for the 437.4 LoRa.
That's cool.
How cool is that? Here's kind of a picture of a bunch of the students. You can get an idea of the sail, and you can see all the fold marks. And here's the CubeSat. It was all built using 3D printed parts. The whole frame here is all come off a 3D printer. So that's pretty neat stuff. Here's just another drawing that shows the sail and the transmitters. I'm not sure if there's 2. Here it says there's 4. Shows an experiment. I believe there's a video on this when you watch that video from them, where they have the thing here where the sail is folded up and put inside and it launched out. You don't see it in this still, but they had looks like 4 GoPro cameras on this balloon, and they will have a camera on the CubeSat itself, so they can see the sail opening up.
So cool.
So again, just another.
I noticed it said nitinol wires on the sail. That's that stuff that they make those like unbendable wireframe glasses out of. You can like tie the
is that the stuff?
knot
okay.
Yeah, you like tie, it has a great memory. You can like really flexible, but then it springs right back. You can't nitinol. Yeah. I had a set of those years and years ago. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. Good stuff.
So I've been swapping. So I've been in communications with Josh at Cornell. He's working on his PhD dissertation. I think it's based on a lot of what's happening with this satellite. I asked him, can we receive stuff from the CubeSat itself? He says, no, they're going to use the Iridium satellite system for control of the CubeSat. So that gives them worldwide control through that. It wasn't clear to me if the CubeSat was on the ISS, and yes, it is. And they just a few days ago released a new deploy date of December 1. So if you're interested,
are they going to hand deploy that, Randy? Is that how they're going to do that? Just
no, it's in one of those launcher tubes.
Okay.
It's in one of those launcher tubes. The door opens up. Yeah.
Okay.
No.
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay.
Cool. Yeah. There's a mailing list. If you can get on, you can send a message to Andy. It's pretty easy. It's for 3D printing at Gmail, and it has to be put on the Alpha Mission. They are on LinkedIn, so look for Alpha Mission. And I was on with Digital Rancher there, Rob, a week ago or so. We were talking about this. He's getting involved, and I've taken my slides I used on with Rob that night, and I just posted a video about that a couple days ago. So I've got a lot more depth to what I've been showing here. They have a great ground station guide. This takes you through all the things to buy, how to put it together. That they have a case and all this. They're showing how you can assemble this thing and how to load all the software. It's very well done. And they say, keep looking at this because there will be up-to-date information when it comes time to receive their satellite. They want you to go into the tiny GS stuff and you can set some configuration things so you only receive their satellite and not all the other ones. So you make sure you have a good chance of catching it as it's coming over. A lot of the GS satellites are running from 1 watt, 3 watts up to 9 watts. There's some that are 600 milliwatts and some that are 800 milliwatts, and I've been able to receive those pretty easily. This little board is going to be running 100 milliwatts. So the Fleet Power satellite. So, and it's only going to last for maybe 2 days because at the altitude the station is at, space station, it does have atmospheric drag, and they anticipate that the drag will
Right. Yeah.
take and
Yeah.
deorbit the sail after 2 days. So
Wow.
you got to get your stuff tweaked up ahead of time and be ready, and then just sit back and see what you can grab.
When do you think it's going to happen, Randy? Is there an
They're
estimate?
saying December
I think
1st.
they said December.
December 1st. Yeah.
December 1st. Okay.
Yep.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, it was
Time's
like
ticking.
November. It was like November 17th, but it got pushed back. And all subject to change. Anything, they get busy
Always.
with other stuff.
Yeah. I may get
on the
pushed back
space
again.
station.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if somebody wants the ground station thing, point your camera at the QR code here, or go to my video where I go through all this, and I have links in there. You're never going to remember all this craziness here. So
No.
that's it from the K7
Wow.
AGE. I haven't been doing anything.
No, not at all.
No.
Not at all.
No.
Wonderful.
So
Need to get you out in the world a little more.
yeah, and I'm starting to plan on Quartz Fest. I've signed up for a session, Gordo, so I'll be talking about tools and gadgets and gizmos and things out there. So
Absolutely. We'll feature you.
I want the Area 1 because I could have, like you say, you got to bring
Absolutely.
stuff. You got to bring stuff, right?
That's right.
I have
Very
a
cool.
sat nogs that I'm not using. I had it set up for NOAA receiving, and so now I think I'm gonna have to get one of these
Get
tiny
busy,
GS set
Josh.
up. But I
All
want
of
it
us.
solar powered because I don't want to have to run a plug to it. So I'll have to figure out what the solar powering is on that. But it can't be that difficult because it's USB, right? It runs
Yeah.
off USB.
And something else I bought stuff with, and I haven't tried this yet, but I got a PoE, power over Ethernet switch, and I found a PoE to USB-C adapter.
Oh, there you go.
So you could run Cat 5 to where you need power and get USB-C PD out the other side. And it also passes the network through if you got a Ethernet jack on the board.
That's pretty smart too. Oh,
Yeah.
interesting. That tiny GS runs off of, what is that? A micro? USB micro? It's not USB-C.
Micro.
It is a micro. Okay.
But there is another version of the board that does take a C.
Okay. Okay.
So check that out. Yeah.
But it
make
has
sure you
Wi-Fi,
buy-
so
It's got Wi-Fi. Yep. But you need the USB for the power, and make sure you get the 433 megahertz.
433. Well, I'm
Yep.
writing it down, so I guess I'm going to do it.
And we'll-
All
Cool.
right.
Spending my
We'll
money
see.
yet again, Randy.
Live vicariously through you, Josh. Once again.
Mhm.
Some more
Probably have
skill.
got these in your pile of stuff.
Not
Probably.
the tiny GS device, not that one. I don't have
Yeah.
that, but I do have
Yeah,
the
you got-
sat nogs. I'll have to re-egg beater it.
I'm not sure you really need to. Yeah.
I was gonna say
Noah's
Randy showed
different.
some pretty ugly antennas, but if they do the job, no big deal.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Ugly antennas?
The egg beater looked a little ugly. Did no one else think it looked ugly?
No, it's just number 12. Just number 12 wire.
It's
Come
Yeah.
it wasn't all like symmetrical, and I thought, and no judgment, just
Oh,
if it
as I
worked.
pull the thing
Antenna
in.
shaming here all of a sudden on Ham Nation.
Oh, yeah,
tonight.
as I pull
That
it in,
that really
in
went
and
the
out of
wrong
the
way very quickly.
tube to work on it, I lay it down. It gets bent up. I unbend it. So it's.
Yeah.
Sounds like my life.
It is
Um,
I think that's a life metaphor right there. You just unbend
Pretty
it,
much. Lay
shave
down,
it
get
back the
bent up.
best you can.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, time's
No, it's
ticking.
Taking up off the
amateur radio.
floors.
It's amateur. It's not professional
Yeah,
radio.
exactly.
That's right. That's right. The other thing, Randy, your ammo box with the antenna on there gave me like flashbacks. We did an event where we had to deploy one of those with APRS, and it was at 70 watts with that almost same antenna. And the guy that was bringing it to deploy it didn't tell me that he had it on. And so it's
Oh,
transmitting,
Yeah.
sporadically. So I'm handling the antenna, just trying to figure out where we're going to put this sucker.
No.
And, all of a sudden my fingers are getting like smoking hot.
Yep.
And I'm
Mhm.
like,
Ouch.
Jesus, what? And I still have scars in between my two fingers
Yeah.
here of holding that
Ow.
little antenna. 70 watts will do that.
Wow.
My
Yeah.
first
Oh
like,
yeah. Whoa. Yeah.
brain bulb went on, and I was like, this whole time I had no idea what an RF burn was when taking all
Uh-huh.
of these tests.
Now
and
you
now
know.
I
They
know
hurt. They hurt.
are painful.
I got
Now
I
I
got
know.
hit. I got hit on my hand when I was a kid, in high school, on a CV antenna that had an amplifier, and I like 150 watts or something. I got hit by that. That was not
That'll learn
fun.
you.
Yeah, exactly. Like my daddy used to say, "That'll learn you, boy, won't it?"
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember electronics class in high school. We're doing something with power, resistors, and I thought, I wonder how hot that is. It was really
Yeah.
hot.
Yeah,
hot.
yeah, plenty hot, plenty hot.
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to share my screen, Josh. and we're
Okay,
gonna get
I'm
to.
ready.
We're doing recaps and then Hammett or Can It.
Oh, you got a
and
whole
then
segment
like
for
it.
Amanda. I love it.
I know. I realized that I shared to myself really shoddy pictures, so my apologies about some of this. Hammett or Can
Is
It.
that a
fine, but
computer, Amanda? What am I looking at exactly? Could you describe it?
I can describe this 100%. Not only is there a computer, there's a 705, a big share screen with WinLink
That is a
pulled
big
up on
screen.
it. And
Mhm.
this is our Fremont County EOC. So this is where we did Colorado Aries set from, where we initiated lots of different ways of communication between EOCs and to our mothership, the state EOC. So HF was beautiful, and our demo was basing on domestic terrorism. So communication lines cut down, sporadic, some substations possibly going offline and coming back on. So our exercise was to show that we could set up constant communications on battery and generator power, and we did a great job.
Nice.
Yeah.
And that auto select feature in WinLake, where you tell it what frequencies you can work, with whatever band, or you got a multi-band antenna, you tell it all that, and you just tell it to connect.
It's
And it tries
amazing
one
with the
after
705.
another. It sees a
Mhm.
busy, it goes on. It sees one that's got a bad signal on a noise, it dumps off and goes on to another one. It is really slick to sit there
It
and watch
really
that.
is. And then we had our county map pulled up, which you can't see clearly here, but and Jeff behind the helm at that point in time. It's pretty small EOC. So if there was a response, all of those seats at each one of those tables would have one agency at them. So PD would be there, fire would be in one chair, sheriff's office would be in one chair, comms would be in one, a Red Cross representative, EMS would be there, animal control or something. So all of those seats have an assignment. So Aries doesn't just get to come in and take over this room.
Mhm.
These are all going to be representatives to make a plan, a response plan. So everyone keep that in mind when you wonder why not everybody is allowed in the EOC. That's why, because it's full of other departments. And then, okay, so that was set. Now moving on to HamCon Colorado, we have Steve Herman, who was one of our keynote speakers, an amazing talk.
Love Steve.
And if anyone can ever book him for one of their conventions, you should try to do it. It's amazing. His tales from international and all of his operations that he's managed to do while reporting is pretty amazing in of itself. But also the way he got started into amateur radio as well is very cool. Very, very cool. And our fox hunter had an appropriate hat on. We did fox hunts. We did Pico balloon launches. Our vendor room. We had one of our viewers there too, KM4 CFT. He had his get-ups there. Amazing stuff. And Colorado Aries, obviously, in the section had a bunch of stuff. Huge vendor room. Not any like main big brands though were there. We're kind of like considered like a flyover state when it comes to getting vendors to our production. But anyhow, this is just showing like what the AV controls were like in the back of the room. All hams were obviously handling the AV, huge mixers, and 4 different mics were operating so we could hand mics around the room for questions. And just an award that I
Nice.
gave away. Yeah, it was a lot of fun. I'll tell you that much. And let me so that was my recap. That's what I've been working on for the last couple of weeks. And let's go to our Hammett or Can It's now. Let me move over here. Okay, so this is just a super duper cute little radio pack. And I think that's a Yaesu in there. I'm not really sure, but anyhow, this person I think makes all of these, and it was really
Nice.
adorable. And I
Nice
know
fitting, yeah.
adorable and ham radio don't really go together, but it's my word,
it.
and it's just really super clean and nice.
As
Yeah,
long as it's not
Armalock.
adorbs.
Yeah,
It's
it's-
more of adorbs.
We don't
It
like
needs a
adorbs.
candle. Yeah.
The
Yeah.
rails and that bottom black box contains a battery,
Yeah.
and that's actually made
That's
by
what
the
I figured.
Armalock company, and they do a lot
Okay.
of really cool stuff. They started coming to the major ham fest too, so you can buy what you need off the website, but if you want to see it in person, you got to come to one of the big ham fests.
In Podolife, this is necessary or very, very handy, either way you want to put it. Now that antenna situation, I don't know what band they were trying to use, but it's probably not what I would use.
Oh,
Totes
that's a
adorbs. Oh my
VHF.
gosh.
No,
radio.
not totes adore. No. Traveling ham, you just get on the road and get on out of here. I'm
You
tired of
travel on out of here,
totes
buddy.
adorbs. That's right. Hit the road, Jack.
Okay, so this is a two-parter. The first part is, as a kid, I thought ham radio would be a much bigger part of my adult life, in no small part because this looks so cool. So I'm sad that your ham radio life isn't more part of your life anymore. And I hope that you can find ways to still get involved, even if radios don't have all of these buttons. But how overwhelming is this rig with all of these buttons? Or viewers, do you prefer radios that have all front buttons and not your touchscreen menus and such to use your radio? You guys be the
I-
voice of it.
I have one of those radios, and
Do you?
I've only touched about half the buttons, and I'm delighted.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's what it comes down to, right? Is it comes down to the designers of the radio, because the reality is you're going to touch 10 of those buttons 90% of the time.
All the time. Yeah.
Right?
Right.
And as long as they ergonomically place them and they're accessible, then usually everybody's happy. But then the flip side of that is, then you take all those accessory buttons and then you bury them under like long press one button to make them
Yep.
come up, or
Yeah.
so
Yes.
it's like
that
there's
can be very
the
irritating.
user experience in radio
But
is
everybody
so
on
different
this,
for people.
show me your fingertips.
I love my
Show me
Kenwood
how big your
990.
fingertips are.
I love
How
my
many times did you
990.
push the wrong button when
I
you're
love my
going in?
Uh-huh, a
990.
lot.
I love
But you know what? You bring that radio to field day,
No.
and you're gonna amaze some people who have no idea
Dude,
what
you're
the hell
gonna
you're
amaze
doing.
it,
Like,
but somebody's
"What?
gonna,
You know how to use
You
that?
don't
unless
take
you
that
have a
one.
Yeah,
lockdown
exactly.
feature on it. I
I
feel
love
bad
my
for it.
990.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Okay.
I remember when those came out. That's a cool rig. Yeah.
So I just, and that being said, then I have to point this out, that who's excited? I'm excited. And then this person is like, this new ham radio rig looks amazing. I concur. I've
Yeah.
seen
Yeah.
Ray
Yeah.
going on the
Mhm.
syndicates talking about this rig, and it looks amazing. Unfortunately, we didn't get one, excuse me, to play with during W1AW, but this looks fun.
Yeah,
Everybody
Yeah,
big
that's neat.
start
big
to
upgrades. Right? So
yes.
that's the big thing.
Yeah.
Really quick, Amanda, the big thing is you get the HDMI output, which I think is like the first radio to really do that.
Yeah.
They've been on DVI forever.
Yeah.
But then you get CWD code. And the big thing, I think, is the networking capability.
Yeah.
So if you go back to Randy's talk about his rotor control and all that, a lot of radios now, because they're on the network, you can remote into them from wherever you're at, as long as you got internet access. And so the ability to do that with, a kind of a first level solid HF radio is fantastic. That's, I think, a lot of people are turning to that, and it's going to be a bigger thing in the future. So very
I
excited.
think so. Oh, it's definitely so. And
Yep,
then
very
in
cool.
correspondence with the rig with lots of buttons, ham radio prices are directly proportional to the amount of buttons and knobs they have.
Yes,
That's
true.
That's some truth in that.
I don't know. I got some expensive radios that I can't do a thing with them except for turn the knob to different channels. So, it is what it is, but it sounds good in theory. Yes, the more
Mhm.
buttons and knobs that you have, it does up the price factor quite a bit. But then you look at like a Bofang, and it's got tons of features just on the front of it, and it's the cheapest thing you can find. So I don't know.
Right.
Yeah,
And
the big production switchers, and that was it involved would now have over 1,000 buttons and knobs on there for the operators to
Mhm.
switch the shows with,
Crazy.
Yep.
and they do use them all.
now this one is just kind of funny because I got to point out that X is exponentially like expanding into becoming a real person, and it's almost freaking me out a little bit. But this is one person said, does anyone know how to easily mount a wind meter at 10 meters without some kind of heavy equipment? Now, here's Grok's answer. And it's blowing my mind because unless you're a ham radio operator, I don't know why they would mention this. One way to mount an anemometer at
One of
10
them
meters,
things.
yes, without heavy equipment is to use a telescoping mask like those for ham radio antennas. Like you're just going to talk to the general public, Grok, and tell them, like those ham radio antennas. I
Yeah.
just
find
found
it
it
very-
like craziness that was their answer, unless this person is a ham. And I don't know if they're a ham, but it just like if it was talking to my mom and it said, like those ham radio antennas, if she didn't know that I was a ham radio operator, she would have no idea what they're talking about. So
Right.
I found it hilarious. Let's see. Don't do this. Don't ever do this.
Yeah.
I don't know who you are, but
Yeah.
Mr.
well,
Not from Muskogee, just stay off our bands. Anyhow, I just occasionally I run into these and I'm like, okay,
Yeah,
whatever.
that's-
But also they
And
said
there's-
channels, so they obviously have no
Yeah.
idea what they're doing.
Right.
They
So
have
good
no
luck,
idea.
buddy. Good luck. He's transmitting on a first responder frequency right now.
Uh-huh.
And now this person needs an answer. Nobody has answered them yet. On
It's a
X,
delta
but
loop on the top.
My neighbor has a pretty strange antenna. Is it a ham radio antenna? Yes. And we were just talking about these 2 weeks ago. So, and
Mhm.
I think he has more than just that. I think this
Yeah,
is
those are
probably ham as
VHF,
well.
yeah.
So,
Looks good.
somebody go and answer Mr. Ronaldo to tell him, yes, that is an
Sorry
ham
about the
radio.
adjacent buildings.
And all those power lines.
Yeah.
you do what you can do.
Yes, well, you do. And there's a lot of inner city people that do it just fine. So this was just for an FYI. I recall that Amateur Radio Network was vital for communication during Hurricane Gilbert. I don't even know when Hurricane Gilbert was, by the way, anybody, but people in St. Vincent can even talk with Jamaicans when phone lines were down. Now during Hurricane Melissa, many areas had no cell or internet service. Maybe it's time we bring back those radio networks. What? Bring them back? They're here the whole time.
Yeah,
And
we're here.
Yes, we're here. We're here. And so somebody answered them and said, ham radios were operating in the storm. We have over 100 ham radio operators in Jamaica and they were active. Now, I don't know anything about, yes, that's great.
Yeah.
But is there only 100 operators in Jamaica? There's got to be more operators than that. Anybody think? Anybody know?
I think they were saying that
Hurricane
they were
Gilbert
operating.
was, Hurricane Gilbert was 1988,
Oh, okay.
and it had 183 mile-an-hour winds. It was a Cat 5.
Ooh, buddy.
Ooh, so pretty equivalent to what
Big-
Melissa just
big-
did, everybody.
Big storm.
Yeah.
Big storm, yeah.
Okay.
318 fatalities.
So,
Wow.
and AR Newsline talked on a little bit about the hurricane. So I haven't seen too much of the amateur radio response, but I have a feeling that it's all just their local stuff, maybe even getting on mountains
Probably, yeah.
and talking simplex, which is fairly easy to do in areas, and then relaying those messages and then traveling with those messages. So, all right, that's what I have for Ham Can It this week.
Nicely done.
I like it.
Beautiful.
Thank you.
You did good.
And you've been
as
busy.
I didn't find
usual.
anything funny. And Grok, or Twitter, X, whatever, their hashtag searches weren't working. So all I could search for was ham space radio. So that's why I didn't find any like a lot of cool pictures or anything like that, because it was not searching today for whatever reason. So anyhow, okay, we're way past time. Okay. Get on D-Star 14 Charlie and join us again on November 19th. We're going to have Ham Scion. And it sounds like we're going to have,
Yay!
yes.
Oh, boy. Yeah,
And
good stuff.
Randy's going to be
Excellent.
showing us a live satellite reception. So I think it will be a fantastic show.
It's gonna be.
Hopefully.
It's gonna be.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll have my tiny
exactly.
GS station on the air by then. We'll see. I can
Busy.
do a
There
report
you
on
go.
that.
That would be
But
fantastic. So thank you everybody for joining us tonight. Anyone else have any announcements they need to make?
that's my
Get rid of
HF.
noise.
That's my HF radio right now, screaming.
Time to
shouldn't
move,
have had
Josh.
Shouldn't
No,
have
I-
had that burrito for dinner.
I
Sorry.
think I tracked it down to the house, so I may have to knock on some doors here coming soon. But no, that's it. We'll be live again on Saturday for the Ham Radio Crash Course Saturday show. I am going to be talking about a fun receiver device. It's basically a hack RF with a ham. It's kind of like a ham radio device on top of it that I'm going to tell everybody about. So I'm real excited. Anyway, that's it for me. Everybody else, thank you. Anything you want to mention before we go?
Oh,
Yep.
Happy Veterans Day, everybody. Thank you for your
Yes.
service. I always try to get home after work and get on the air on 20 meters and do a thing and ask for all veterans to come back and talk to me and ask them what they did. And
Yep.
it's always a fun time. So I'll try to record some of it. but
Absolutely.
yes, we thank our veterans very much.
Yes, indeed.
Absolutely. And if you're
Well
out and
said.
about and you see an old guy with a Vietnam or a Korea or a World War II hat, there's less and less of those every day now.
Mhm.
Go up and thank them.
And they got a lot of
Just quick-
stories.
Just a quick handshake and, hey, thank you for your service. I appreciate you. You know, goes a long way.
Most definitely
Indeed.
does.
All right. Well, thank you, everybody. We'll see you again in 2 weeks. 73.
Good night, everyone.
7-3.